The Black Studies program at Cleveland State University welcomes you to this season of Images, a public affairs radio forum dedicated to open dialogue on a variety of diverse topics of interest and issues of concern, which focus on the life and experiences of African Americans and all peoples of African descent. By visiting our website at www.csuohio.edu/blackstudies or calling 216-687-3655, you can learn more about upcoming Black Studies program events and activities. Now, here is your host for Images.
And welcome to Images. I'm Preston Pickett, your host for this broadcast of Images. We're returning after a 6-month departure of live recordings due to the COVID-19. So I am here in my humble abode with this studio that's been created thanks to the support of my sons this morning, as well as making history with the first remote broadcast of Images here in front of our family piano with the images of ancestors from my family. But today's conversation is going to allow us to talk about moving images or motion pictures, particularly by way of the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. Our very special guests include instructor Eric Seiler, MFA, as well as Donna Dabbs, the executive director of the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, known as GCUFF. Welcome to you both to Images.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll start our conversation, Professor Seiler, with your history. You've been a friend to the Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center as part of the faculty at Cleveland State University, and you've had your students fellowship in our space. Well, now we're not in our actual space, but we are using space, the electronical space, to bring information to our community. You have this history of background with the Cleveland International Film Festival and the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, and you bring us this great information through this intersection of the discussion of Black studies as well as film and our community. Can you share some of your efforts to help our students understand film, particularly having taught our African Images in Film course and other courses that you instruct regarding the introduction to film, as well as the conversation about the African and African American, African diasporic experiences. Professor Seiler.
Well, thank you, Professor Pickett. It's an honor and pleasure to be here today. It's always great to interact with you and the Howard A. Mims Center and the Black Studies program. Yes, you're correct. I've been a friend of your program for many years now. I've been at Cleveland State for quite a number of years now, since about 2005. I've been instructing various film and television and production courses over the years through the School of Communication, also the School of Film and Media Arts. Particularly, I have a strong interest in African and African diaspora films. I've done a lot of studying and research in that aspect, and as well as instructing as well too. And as you mentioned, I had the opportunity to interact with your center by having students with you guest lecturing and having students over in your center as well, and for your center to utilize the resources there. In particular, working with African American films. My long course I've been teaching has been called Imaging Africa, in which I look at the myths and disparities that's been portrayed in the media about the continent of Africa. We look at the various films made by Africans and other people throughout the world, and how the continent is displayed and how there are actually not everything is exactly accurate. And I encourage my students to do their own research in that area. So we cover the entire continent, mostly the sub-Saharan area. in terms of outside of instructing, I've been heavily involved with, as you mentioned, the two film festivals, the Cleveland International Film Festival and the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. With the Cleveland International Film Festival, I've been working with them for a number of years, in which I've been representing Cleveland State by introducing films and moderating talkbacks as well too, and working with the Film Slam program. But primarily for the last, I don't know, Donna, how long, several years, maybe even more, I've been working with the Film Selection Committee for the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. I head up the programming and the selection of the films for the festival. This is our ninth year, and I'll let Donna talk more about the festival, but we are very excited about this year, and each year we keep growing in the number of films that we select and diversity of films and filmmakers that are have their talents to be displayed. So it's just really a great pleasure to bring this not only to the city of Cleveland, but as you'll hear, we're going virtual this year. We have a chance to expand our reach this year beyond the city of Cleveland.
Now, as a native of Cleveland, I can reflect on the history of the Hippodrome and the Scrumpty Dump. Now, I know our very special guest today is too young to remember those great institutions as part of the Black experience in Cleveland, but wanting to ask at this time, Executive Director Donna Dabbs of the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, to not only bring us some information about her history as being part of the founding of this great institution that we now have in Cleveland, but also the history of this organization, this entity that is enriching our lives in Cleveland, giving us a stimulant to our economy, and allowing the Black community to definitely feel that we are citizens being celebrated in this Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. Executive Director Dabbs, please.
Good morning, and thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Pastor. And I'm also, I worked with Eric for a long time. So, you get to know people with what they do and what they help you with. But I hear another panel in the works, Eric, for our festival, because I think that's a great perspective, looking at, what's going on in African filmmaking and the African diaspora. But I will say that I'm pleased to be here this morning. I'm pleased that we can offer a festival in our 9th year. It all started just with the inspiration with the Cleveland International Film Festival. I went, I loved the event. I love watching all kinds of movies, and I just didn't see enough movies for people of color. So I was inspired and challenged to start my own film festival. And I grew up in a time, I do remember the Humpty Dump and the Scrumpty, what is it?
Scrumpty Dump and Hippodrome.
Scrumpty Dump and Hippodrome. I don't remember the names, but I remember going to those. And I remember those rich experiences watching those films, back in the day. So all that came together to motivate me to, yes, do this. And Alton Tinker and I were already doing some networking things and had an organization. So we had an audience to point the festival to. So we thought it was a perfect thing. So I ran around for a year telling everybody I was going to start a festival, and somebody believed me and gave me money. That's my story. And that's how we all started. So it was one theater over 4 days. And we had a really big success, sold out screening. So it encouraged us enough to do it all over again. So 9 years later, we're still at it. And I'm pleased that Eric Seiler joined us probably in year 3 or 4. It's been a while, we stopped counting. And he took over the film selection process and committee and has just innovated it. And I don't have to worry about that lane at all, but there's many more things that have to happen to make this festival come true. So we're excited that we're going virtual this year. So as he said, everyone can have access online, and it's really broadening our perspective of how to present a festival virtually, as well as, components we can do when we finally get back to the physical world of being together.
And it's very important to include the African American experience in our digital realities, particularly our culture. You referenced Alton Tinker, who also came to us on several occasions in the past to try to connect the Black Studies program with the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. So with the support of Professor Eric Seiler and you joining us today, this begins some of the ongoing conversations that we can continue to develop with our interests at Cleveland State University in engaged learning. Professor Seiler, can you talk about how important this experience can be for some of our students? Now, I instruct our Urban Studies UST 251 African American Experience Images in Film. And we have had a chance to ask our students to attend various screenings at Shaker Square, depicted behind Donna Dabbs there, for the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. Can you again talk about how enriching this can be for our students to participate, even this year with the remote presentations, how enriching this can be for our students, faculty, and staff at Cleveland State University to join these community builders by way of Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival? Professor Seiler.
Our students are consumers of media, and this is an excellent way to reach students on all levels. People hear the word Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, but that does not necessarily indicate that it's only for an audience of a certain culture. We attract people from all different races and backgrounds. So it's very, very enriching to actually experience the lives of other cultures through the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. Even though the films are, have African and represent Africans and African Americans in that sense, but just to get an inside look on the thinking and how people want to display their art is very, very encouraging, especially in this day and age that we are in. I feel that we are progressing towards a way in which we want to understand each other, and film has an excellent way of helping to bridge the gap and also stimulate conversations as well too. And I always encourage my students, no matter what class I'm teaching, to look at other media, look at films, and see how that relates to the subject matter as well. And I think this is a Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival is an excellent opportunity to use in an institutional setting, not just Cleveland State, but any type of institution as well, in which you can get a collective group of films together and see the diverse offerings. Not everything deals with just, race. We have things dealing with religion, food, youth, and so forth, innovation. There's just so many topics that are covered throughout the festival, and it sparks so many wonderful conversations. And the learning doesn't stop once you leave the classroom. This is an excellent way to continue the learning.
Again, with President Harlan Sands of Cleveland State University, we're encouraged to develop partnerships with people like you on our campus in different departments, connecting with Black Studies and Dr. Thomas L. Bynum as the Director of Black Studies, and then also the partnerships in the community. With Executive Director Dabbs, can you talk about the history of your partnerships and any unique partnerships that you would like to describe? Because this also intersects with our interest in business. So our School of Business can be attentive as our students are studying advertising. They would like to know how you're promoting your celebration of these various cultural experiences by way of films, but also the gatherings and the panel discussions and the engagements where you bring out actors to Cleveland. Can you talk about your partnerships, please?
Well, partnerships are ongoing and things that we really need to develop more of. So I'm glad you mentioned the fact that Alton's been having conversations. Your group always comes up on our radar. Our biggest challenge with partnerships is, dedicated resources to really make those meaningful. But, we have a partnership with ARP, which is very significant because they reach out to a community that we wouldn't necessarily have in our database or access to. We partner with Nightlife Cinema in Akron. So they've hosted screenings every year, and it's, another area that we want to, have a broader reach in and just connect people there. So, we learned that we really need to develop fewer, richer, deeper partnerships more strategically, and then go from there. So once we have an audience, and once we have proper support, and once we have proper funding, then the sky's the limit. So, you get to a point where you work, and then the magic starts to happen because all of your work, the fruits of your labor, so to speak, are now paying off. So our partnerships is definitely something we want to explore more. The good news is now that I am on staff at the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, because we've grown enough to have funding to put some resources in place, which we know we need to grow, is that there's opportunity to really do some meaningful work, because this conversation is just a start. So partnerships is definitely high on the list of things, because we need connection to your students. For instance, you mentioned our marketing and our reach, and it's been limited resources. So connecting with students, and they're all knowledgeable about what's new and hot, and how to really communicate with people. So that's a perfect partnership for us to have and expose them to this opportunity, as well as people in the industry. So it's a win for all of us.
And for us, this partnership extends with our instructional media services. So this is our chance to say to Alex Barney, the engineer for this show, thank you for all of your investments to make this happen, and all of the individuals in your department that allow us through our Black Studies program to make things like this happen. With Black Studies, we have a calendar of events. Although we are not physically on campus with our programs, we do have a very full calendar of events, and we'll try to get back to hear about the calendar of films that are scheduled with the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, but would ask you to consider visiting CLASS, that's class.csuohio.edu/Black BLACK-studies, and navigate to our calendar there to see that there are various things that we're doing, inclusive of a meet and greet with our faculty, introducing themselves to our majors and minors and other students who are interested in the Black experience by way of the Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center, with the leadership of Dr. Thomas L. Bynum. Greeting you also, certainly, I'd imagine LaDonna Simmons, the Secretary for Black Studies, and Matthew Ndungu, who is our graduate assistant, will be available to assist you in navigating to the resources that we connect to on the Greater Cleveland community scale, but also on the scales at Cleveland State University. We have a Soul of Cleveland tour, part 1. That is where we visit various landmarks in Cleveland and give you some of the rich history about the legendary Clevelanders who have been honored with these landmarks being named after them. So we visit various locations, and we appreciate the support of Dr. Tamika Rashid, the Assistant Vice President for the Division of Student Life, for guiding us to students who will help us introduce various individuals in our community who are remembered, as well as community members who are extending those legacies of those legendary Clevelanders into a next generation. So I say thank you for Reverend Sam Tidmore guiding me to various resources, as he is a former director of Village Television and also very involved in our Cleveland community. We have an Umoja Roundtable, and that is scheduled for September 22nd. The times, again, are listed on our website, and even that Soul of Cleveland tour on September 19th is showing you how much we'll be doing in September. But this Umoja Roundtable is entitled Let Us March On. It is a student-led discussion on social issues. And again, the conversations extend with our students being engaged with conversations of what's occurring in our greater Cleveland community. We also have Black Music of Two Worlds in the poetry of Langston Hughes on our calendar. Please consult that website for the date and time. And this is where we network with Professor Leo Coach, MFA, through the music department and intersect literature and Black studies with music. We have a Curtis Wilson lecture entitled African American Literature, a Black Studies Problem. And this is a lecture being brought to us by Dr. Jillian Johns of the English department of Oberlin College. And again, these dates and times are listed on our calendar. Please visit it for more information. We also have the links to the Zoom locations where you can visit these programs. Closing our discussions, we have a program where we celebrate the arts in Cleveland by way of our Kuumba Arts Festival. Our Kuumba Arts Festival this year is a cultural retrospective of 1970, when Cleveland State University established a Black Cultural Center at Cleveland State University. So we have a number of performances and conversations and celebrations of culture by way of music, by way of dance, and reflecting back on those 1970s. So we gotta have a Soul Train line, right? There's also our efforts with Dr. Adrian Gosselin and the development of an essay contest for our students at Cleveland State University entitled Good Trouble, Past and Present Challenges to Voting for People of Color. This is again how we are working with our students, faculty, staff, and the community. Now back to the community. Donna Dabbs, Professor Seiler, what type of genre of films are there? What type of films are you highlighting on your website to say, these are the films, these are the activities you definitely want to celebrate with us, but also a full schedule of events to consider for our Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, please?
Well, everything's on the website. We're live and the doors are open and tickets are available. We actually have a student pass. There's a lot of free events for students and younger people and just general things to enjoy. We actually have a student pass on our website so they can watch every film, and it's just $25. So I think there's probably, we said 70 plus films, but I think there's probably close to 80 films when you look at the short offering. So there's 10 different segments of short programs. There's animation, there's comedies, there's drama. I don't think we have any horror. I think there's some suspense. Yeah, there might be one or two of those. So I think we run the full gamut of what people can see. And there's lots and lots and lots of documentaries as always. And documentaries are my favorite because they make the most impression for me. And, you know, education-wise, that you can learn something from everything. So I think that pretty much covers it. Our website, gcuff.org, you see Eric has the logo up. So if you just go to gcuff.org and go to the schedule, you can see everything online. And we actually have a program guide that's a flip book. And I'm delighted to announce we will have a limited supply of printed books. So we'll be announcing where we're going to be passing some of those out as well. So yeah, it's a broad lineup. Did I cover everything here?
We do have a special in-person screenings. I don't know if you want to talk a little more about that, Donna.
Who's the in-person?
The in-person, the drive-in.
Oh yeah, it's 2 nights at the drive-in. I'm thinking of a person. Yeah, we wanted to do something, you know, when I saw that the drive-ins were the place to go watch movies, you know, I said, oh, maybe we can do a couple of nights there. So Friday and Saturday, so the festival starts September 10th, right after Labor Day, pretty much. And that first weekend, Friday and Saturday, we're going to the drive-in. And Friday night is a double feature night with Shaft, the 2019 version, which was a little more upbeat, and Girls Trip. So we're gonna have laugh and fun on Friday night. Then 70s, you mentioned Soul Train last, so we're going back to the 70s on Saturday night. We'll have Forecast Band playing when the gates open, And then we're going to show 5 on the Black hand side and Uptown Saturday night. So that should be a fun, and we're encouraging people to dress in the 70s because we'll be taking pictures and just going to have a fun night. So we're excited that we can actually get out outside in a safe way. You know, we're committed to especially safety at this time. So we don't want to do a lot of events where people are gathering and waiting in line and things like that. So, yeah.
So I'd imagine the social distancing, because of the drive-in situation, is going to allow people to stay in their vehicles. And then if they leave their vehicles, to put on those masks,
Yes.
interact at that social distance from the other vehicles that they'll be greeting our community members at, because of the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. We're going to start to wrap up this conversation and ask you for any last 20-second statements about why our entire community, Cleveland State University community, Greater Cleveland community, people from across the state of Ohio should make it to these celebrations. And now people around the world can experience Cleveland and the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. Closing 20-second statement, please.
I would just say that, just if you've never been to a film festival before, there's no excuse this time. You can participate right from the comfort of your own home. So this is an opportunity to experience films. And if you enjoy this festival virtually, just wait until we're actually in person and you'll have even a more enjoyable time.
Well, once again, I'd like to say thank you to both of you, Professor Eric Seiler, MFA, fellow, and the executive director of the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, Donna Dabbs, for being our very special guest today, making history with the first remote broadcast on August 28th recording session for Images. We once again want to thank everyone for tuning in. We ask you once again to consider visiting the website for more information, as I'll pause and announce again, not the schedule, but that the schedule is available at class.csuohio.edu/black-studies and navigate to that great calendar of events that we have to celebrate Black culture, Black history, Black experience for all people, for all generations through Cleveland State University. We thank you for tuning in to Images.
You have been listening to Images, a public affairs radio program produced by the Cleveland State University Black Studies Program and this station. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Cleveland State University, the Black Studies Program, or the station. We hope you have enjoyed the music performed by the Jazz Heritage Orchestra. If you are interested in finding out more about the Black Studies Program, call 216-687-3655 or visit our website at www.csuohio.edu/blackstudies.